Hey, USA Volleyball. Let's pause for a second and talk about Zenny's brand new Apex Racer Pro Sports Performance sunglasses.
Absolutely, Clarence. Zenny has seriously upped their game with these sunglasses. The advanced polarization technology cuts the glare, enhancing visibility even in the brightest conditions. They're made for high-impact action.
Totally agree. These aren't just any sunglasses. They're specifically designed for pro athletes like USA Volleyball champions Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss, who will be wearing them in Paris. With customizable tints and a lightweight, durable frames, you can play your best game every time. Plus, you can even add your prescription, and the high-rep frame offers full peripheral vision and eye protection.
And the best part is they're super affordable. Zenny is all about making high-quality eyewear accessible to everyone, but this is a whole new level of value and performance.
And they look great too. You can pick from a range of sleek, sporty designs in various frames and lens colors.
So, if you're looking to upgrade your eyewear game, head over to Zenny.com and explore their new sports performance sunglasses.
Trust us, Zenny Sports Performance sunglasses will help you reach a whole new level.
Hello, what's up? And welcome to yet another episode of the USA Volleyball Show. We are the official podcast of, you guessed it, USA Volleyball. Back in the lab, might I say, with the one and only Sevrin. While Stephen's catching up with his family for Thanksgiving. Sevrin, what's up, man? What's new? I haven't been on a podcast with you in a minute.
I know. I was going to say, we got a different dynamic duo here today. You know, it's like one time we were with Stephen, now I got you. So this is great. I love it. Be back in the lab, like you said. Doing good. Great to see you, Clarence. Not much new, but yeah, hope all is well with you as well.
Any leagues going on over there in the SoCal area, Anaheim, Long Beach, LA? I know you're all around that place too.
Yeah, just going all over the place, and actually going to be jet setting off to go to Ohio for Thanksgiving coming up. So, going around LA / the Orange County area for the past couple of weekends, and then then heading out. So those are my plans at least. But how about you?
Nothing crazy too. I think I'm taking a quick. I'm going back home as well too. So I'm going to be doing a quick little visit. Nothing super crazy, but we'll be out there saying hi and then dashing right back, because right after that, going out to Chicago for a boys qualifier that I'll be coaching into. So it'll be some very quick trips going around there too. But I mean, since we're on the topic of Thanksgiving, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food? What's that?
I love this. Okay, I'm gonna be really boring, but it's so everybody says like the desserts, and that's great. My dad makes a killer pecan, however you say it, pie. I go pecan, but my dad himself says pecan pie because he's from the South. So, everybody would say that. I'm gonna go with the boring cranberry sauce, but
cranberries out of everything, because you have to have it. However, has to be from the can. You have to still see like the little ridges from the can. I want it to be super processed. I don't want to see the cranberries because then it will not be good. That is my opinion, but it's also the right opinion. Hot take there. Okay, interesting.
It is.
Interesting.
All right,
I've never
get
been
back
like
to you. What do they got to be?
See, like I've never been like a big fan of like stuffing or like cranberry sauce as well too. But I like big on desserts too. Big pumpkin and sweet potato pie fan there. But as far as like that dish goes, oh man, I don't want to be standard and say mac and cheese, but like macaroni and cheese, man. That
mac and cheese, on my Thanksgiving table.
5+ layers of it, right out the oven. No, so like what?
It's never been a part of my Thanksgiving, although it sounds good. I mean, I'd love to add mac and cheese to it. It'd be a lot of carbs on my Thanksgiving table, but that's not bad.
That's ever been a bad thing, No,
you don't count them at Thanksgiving.
And also, usually too, whenever I go home, like since I was like a kid, my dad always deep fried our turkey too. So just like let it marinate overnight, and then you inject it with all the seasonings on top of that, and you do. Oh my God, so good! I haven't had that in a while. So
that sounds like the move. My family's been experimenting a little bit. So like I mentioned, my dad is from the South. He's from Virginia, and he loves doing an all day pork shoulder, just like throughout the year. And last year, or the last 2 years, he's tried to do that with the turkey. I would say first year needed some experimenting. Next year was good, although I actually wasn't able to try it the first year. But I think I like the deep fried version better, although it's funny because you see all the videos like on TikTok and stuff of it just going horribly wrong. People calling the fire department and everything. So I hope that doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
You get it wrong. You better have them on speed dial for sure. But
I trust your family to get it right, though. It sounds like it's amazing.
when this is done right, it is magnificent. Oh my gosh, man. But I feel like we can talk about Thanksgiving dishes all day. I know I'm starving during this lunch hour. Then we got to get back into this episode.
Yeah, and before we do, if you haven't listened to episode 105, what are you doing? You got it. Download it, then come back and check this one out. But we had the GOAT. That's why you got to listen to it. Karch Karai taking over as head coach of the U.S. men's national team. So, we had to catch up with him. We talked a little bit about the Olympics, shared his excitement and his vision entering into his new role with the men's national team, and, that we look forward to LA 2028. So all the other things, we talked about everything under the sun with Karch, so I'm not going to spoil anything else, but you got to go check it out. Don't miss that episode. Listen, watch, do both, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Check that out and then come back here. But now that we've gotten that out of the way, favorite segment of the show for everybody, and especially for me as well. Time for the news with Hughes.
Well, all righty then. First up, congratulations to former guest of the pod, Haley Harwood, and her partner, Kylie DeBerg, for entering. Wow. I mean, it did enter technically, but they also earned a silver medal at the Beach Pro Tour Challenge in India. Also, congratulations to Molly Shaw and Tony Rodriguez for winning bronze at that same event. Another congratulations to Evan Corey and Cody Caldwell for winning gold at the Beach Pro Tour Challenge in China the week earlier. Also, congratulations to Molly Shaw and Tony Rodriguez for earning silver in that same event as well. That team's been on fire lately between these past two events and in the AVP League Championship, and we love to see it. So once again, congratulations to those two. 23 emerging U.S. beach teams are scheduled to compete at the Beach Pro Tour Futures event on December 5th through the 8th in Pompano Beach, Florida. This is the first FIVB Pro Beach Tour taking place in the United States ever. That's right. You don't want to miss this historic event. See competing teams across the U.S. and a full list of representing countries at usavolleyball.org. And make sure you stay tuned on this episode for more information on some of the athletes that may be making an appearance there. Also, big news. USA Volleyball announced that the 2025 Beach National Championship will be held on July 16th through the 21st in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Wow, we were just talking about that. And the 2025 U.S. Beach Club Championship will be held May 2nd through the 4th in Huntington Beach, California, alongside the NCAA Beach Championship. Wow. If there was a time for me to go home to California, it is that time there. I may try to look at some flights and just absorb. There's a lot happening. Shout out to SoCal. Shout out to Virginia Beach as well. Gold Volleyball Federation held its 24-25 season draft for eligible college players on November 25th. The upcoming PVF season is set to begin January 9th through the 12th with 7 matches. That is right, 7 matches. And PVF's newest team, the Indy Ignite, will make their debut that weekend as well. But for all of the other news, if I can talk to that, it'll be amazing, you guys. Visit usavolleyball.org and follow USA Volleyball on all social medias for more information. Enough of my ramble, throwing it back over to Sevrin.
Yeah, Clarence, I'm excited for all of these beach events coming up. It seems like it's going to be such a great slate. But as you mentioned, we've got the Futures event in Pompano Beach, which is just going to be so awesome. Huge shout out to the Florida region for helping set all of this up.
Oh, yeah.
It's officially called the 2024 Pompano Beach Fest. And it's happening December 5th through 8th, like Clarence mentioned, in Pompano Beach, Florida. There's a Beach Pro Tour Futures event, a Beach Paravolley event, and the USA Volleyball Beach National Qualifier. So it's going to be epic. We've got all of that going on at the same time. There's going to be teams from 17 different countries at the fest. So if you're around the area, I mean, you got to go. It's a great excuse to go over there. I mean, I was looking on the map. I'm not super familiar with that side of Florida. And then I was like, Miami's right there. Fort Lauderdale's right there. I mean, it's just a lot of
creek stuff out here.
Exactly.
Like I said,
So if you're in the area, you got to go. And like we said, it's going to be an incredible showcase from really every level from, the youth level all the way up to the top. And then also that paravolley event is going to be fantastic as well. With all that being said, we had to kind of talk about some of the people and some more of the event with some of the people that are going to be competing at the Futures event. So we figured we'd talk to Kim Hildreth and to Tim Brewster and Clarence, getting to see some of them out here for, whether it was Beach Media Day or whether it's been just kind of competing all throughout the pro circuit. It's been really cool to kind of see them in their different settings and scenarios. See Tim in the gym all the time. Kim is actually based in Florida, so she's kind of more out there and then comes out here eventually as well. But first we got to sit down with Tim, and he's competing on the Beach Pro Tour representing the USA. Talked about his excitement for the upcoming Futures and the upcoming event in Florida. And then we sat down with Kim as well, and we talked to her about having this event in her backyard, which is going to be great, and kind of the representing Florida that they're going to do here with this Beach Pro Tour Futures event. So that's enough of my rambling on it. Let's jump in with Kim Hildreth.
Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us on the podcast. As we were talking before we started recording, it's been a crazy long year. A lot of traveling too. And you mentioned that you're going to stay home for the holidays, but just thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to have you on.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Before we kind of jump into things, I guess for us and for our listeners, can you give us just like a little quick introduction of yourself?
I'm Kim Hildreth. I'm a member of the USA Beach national team, and I've been playing beach volleyball for going on 10 years now. Played a little indoor before that. I'm a little older than some of the college girls who may have only played beach as a junior and in college. But yeah, I played a little indoor, setter, and then transferred over, snuck in 1 year of college beach volleyball at the University of North Florida before starting my professional career and starting to play internationally for the U.S.
It's wild that we're kind of at that point now where athletes coming out are just beach, or were recruited to play beach volleyball in college, where like yourself and many others before, it was indoor and then found your way to the beach.
Yeah, there's not too many of us left on tour.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good topic to even just start talking about now. Do you want to talk about like what that switch is like, or what it was like for you going from indoor to beach?
Yeah, I was like the very classic utility player on the indoor side. I started as a middle because I've been this tall basically since I was like 10. So they were like, put the tall girl in the middle. And stopped growing. So at a certain point, they were like, I mean, she's quick. She can get pin to pin pretty fast, but this isn't going to be a long-term solution. So got moved to the right side, and then started, my high school team needed a setter. So they wanted me to start setting. I played a little defense, kind of did a little bit of everything in my career. And I think that is always what set me up to love like the warm-ups, like whenever your coach was like, all right, we're playing back row only 2-on-2 for a warm up today, I was like, let's freaking go. That was like always my jam. And so I think I always liked the idea of the beach game. I grew up in Michigan, so I didn't really get too exposed to the beach volleyball game at a young age. Michigan beach scene was not great. It's growing right now. There's a couple people like Steve Vanderwerp who's doing a good job of growing the game in Michigan, but my first exposure really was 2009. The ABP had an event on Muskegon Beach, and my college coach thought it would be a fun preseason activity to go head over to the tournament. And so we did, and I was like, I gotta do this. It was, I think for me and my strengths as an indoor player, it was an easier transition than most. And I had even grown up just playing like grass fours or grass triples in the summer for fun. So I think I was always like heading in that direction. It just, because of where I grew up and everything, it took me a while to find that.
You mentioned, that event in 2009 and your college coach kind of pushing you guys to do that. It's just like a fun thing for the team to do preseason. But I guess what was it about beach that hooked you right away and then made you want, to compete more?
I think part of it was just how much, I mean, one of the things I liked about indoor, and I mean, I still love indoor, but, being a setter, you are in a lot of control of the game and you have the influence over kind of like the patterns of what are happening on both sides of the game. And that's exactly what I love about beach. And so, yeah, when I played my first beach tournament, I was like, this is rad. I'm literally playing all day. I'm touching the ball every point. And there's so much like personal agency on the beach side where you get to be like pretty in control of your career, of your growth, of how much you play. Even for the college girls, like if they don't play at all the entire season, they can go play all summer. Like that doesn't really happen with indoor. You can't just like go after season's over, like just go play real tournaments in indoor. I always thought that was just so fun. I was just a total gym rat growing up. Like I would get in trouble from my parents for being late and missing curfew because me and my friends were literally still at the gym, and all the admins of the club I used to play for in Michigan Elite was the club I played for. And they would be working, like kind of doing their admin until like midnight. And so they would just let us, they're like, it's better than them, like causing trouble being at the bar somewhere or something. So they're like, oh, my parents would get pissed. And I just kind of feel like that vibe always was available on the beach. Like, you want to play a tournament? You want to play 5 matches in a day? See you at the beach.
How's the adjustment from 6 players on the court to 2? I know you talked about a lot of touches and a lot of different variables there too, but I mean clearly it's something that I would assume prefer. But do you want to give your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, fun. I think it just becomes more intimate, and it gives you the ability to kind of hone in on stuff that you don't have as many opportunities to do indoor. And yeah, so I think, one of the biggest adjustments actually probably for even people who are getting into the beach game is really the relationship with your partner. And I've been through both seasons where I play with 10 different partners in one season. And then I have had a couple partnerships that have lasted a few years. So that piece of the puzzle for players who are transitioning is probably a more difficult part, because when you have 6 players on the court, you don't really have to get along with everybody. Probably always have to get along with your setter. But other than that, you can spread the dynamic out over more players versus having to really get into it with one person.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about your background. Love getting to know you a little bit, but let's keep the beach conversation going, because why we have you on, there's a really exciting event coming up. The first ever Beach Pro Tour event is coming to the US. So we'll have an event on US soil for the very first time. The Beach Pro Tour Futures event in Pompano Beach, Florida. I guess, for yourself, you're competing in that event. How excited are you to have an event on U.S. soil for the first time?
Totally. Yeah, I think all the U.S. players have been clamoring for this for a long time. And the fact that it's happening in Florida, for me, I was like, there's no way, like I can't miss this event. I've been nursing a few injuries since the bender that me and my partner went on at the end of season, playing a bunch of tournaments. But I've been really focused on I'll be back and be totally fine. But I was like, yeah, there's not too many things. Like I would probably play this if I, had to play with one arm, just because I've played so many tournaments in Pompano, and the beach volleyball community there is just incredible. So I expect the turnout to be amazing. And I knew that I had to represent not only the U.S., but like Florida in this tournament, and try to get a good showing and give us a good name.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about community a little bit too. I mean, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people in your corner. You talk about Florida, friends and family going to be there. Are they excited about that?
Totally. Yeah. Again, I think everybody is excited, like to see a different tour. We have a lot of Florida tours that do a pretty good job of running like awesome tournaments down here. We've seen what the AVP does in Florida. I think everyone's looking forward to kind of seeing that different vibe. I mean, we used to have, it's been a long time now, but back when the basically old FIVB system. They used to have the Fort Lauderdale 5-star event, and that was just like super well attended. And I expect this to be the same, even though it's just a futures event. I mean, I expect it to be Manhattan Beach level turnout from the Florida crowd.
I love this little tease you're giving us for the site. I guess for anyone who might be traveling in or maybe not familiar with, you mentioned just the beach volleyball community being so great there. I guess what's your quick pitch for why people should come out and check out this event?
Because there'll be a lot of not only good volleyball happening, there'll be, opportunities to have a good time off the court for sure. And then, there'll definitely be opportunities to play. Like if you're just even a casual player and kind of like the sport, like there's courts all up and down the beach. There's always pickup going on just around the corner at Deerfield Beach. So I expect not only for people to play, like alongside the tournament for fun and go back and forth between getting to watch a really great match. Okay, well, these people are warming up for the next match. Let's go hit the ball around for a little bit, and then let's go get a beverage after the tournament's done for the day. So yeah, I think the vibe's going to be awesome. And there also will, I guarantee there'll be, if you're not a US player, you're going to get heckled for sure.
I love that. That sounds super exciting. Yeah. But Cam's talking about strategy a little bit there. Looks like you're going to be competing with Solani Holdell going into this tournament. What went into the decision on you two joining up?
Yeah, we got to play 2 tournaments a couple years back together before she graduated college. And the cool thing about having a futures event on your own in your own country is points wise, it doesn't count against you. So for me, it's a win-win. Like, however well I do is great, but it probably wouldn't be a tournament I would normally choose to play because it actually could probably hurt my points by signing up at this point. But being the fact that it's here in the US, Zolani is someone we had a great time playing together before. She's kind of a strong up-and-coming college player that has a lot of potential. And she actually moved to Florida. She's in Orlando now and figured, I'm going to play a Florida tournament with somebody. We'll get this new Florida transplant, some South Florida people on her side heckling against the other team and see what damage we can do.
That's dangerous. Team Florida. That's dangerous for the rest of the competition there. What do you like about Zolani's game? How does her game complement yours?
Yeah, she's always been super coachable. She's worked a lot with me and my coach, Priscilla Lima, who is the head of Optimum Beach, as well as the head of the University of South Florida coaching position now for the beach side. And as a team, the 3 of us have always worked really well together, the limited time that we have had. So I knew that was going to be fun to get to work with her in practice again. And she's a great setter, so that goes a long way. And I like to run a little bit of a fast, fun system, some different plays, 2-balling, jump setting. And she was really, really adaptable the last time we played together, like fit right into that system. And so we're kind of jumping back into that as we're getting back on the court together. And she brings great energy, super positive. So yeah, it's just going to be fun to get a different look.
Sounds like some really good volleyball is about to come out of this too. So I can't wait to check it out and see for sure. But do you two have any, goals for this event or anything specific that you're looking forward to that you haven't touched on yet?
I just think, it's kind of a fun, like nothing to lose situation. I've been playing great volleyball this year. I'm just looking forward to getting a chance to play here in Florida in front of my community. Taking a little time off since the last event that we played, but I still feel like, it's going to be good volleyball. And I'm overall really, the goal is to, YOLO, like play in front of my community and try to represent. And, I'm sure if we brought home some kind of medal, the South Florida crowd would be pretty stoked about that.
Well, we're excited for you and Zolani to compete in that represent Team Florida in that event, and excited just to have this event in the U.S. a beach pro tour event, and hopefully this leads to more in the future. So you don't have such a crazy, hectic, busy travel schedule going overseas every week. Looking back at your kind of reflect as we kind of end the season here, reflecting on 2024, you and Tegan Van Gunst had a great season. What are you most proud of your season with Tegan?
That's tough because I think the easy answer would be that we medaled in an elite, which was our first chance of doing that. And that was, I think, a culmination of a lot of other things that I'm probably more proud of. We have been through a lot together, and especially like during that period of time, there was 2 hurricanes that hit Florida right around the time of that tournament. So I personally was going through a lot there. And, I think back to one of the things that Clarence said earlier was like one of the most difficult things about beach volleyball is the dynamic with your partnership. And in any relationship with another human that lasts a long time and you go through a lot together, like there's going to be ups and downs. And I'm just really proud of like the work we did there. Like, I think that's where it showed off the most. I think our results, good and bad, were a direct result of like how we were managing our relationship together on and off the court. And I just think we learned a lot about ourselves, a lot about each other and our team, and came out at the end of the season with like some really great finishes to put all that hard work to show. We've always worked really hard on the court, always worked really hard in the gym with our coaching staff, watching film, all that good stuff. But I do think like the relational and interpersonal stuff is the stuff that went the furthest, and is the hardest. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of what we did there.
Mm-hmm. Is there any like training or specific, focal points and bonding throughout the season that you really tried to do and that you tried to really maintain to keep that bond strong and consistent?
Yeah, we definitely worked a decent amount with USA Sports Psych to kind of both individually figure out how to manage some of these situations and then together as a team. So I think that was a fair amount of the lifting there. And just, in terms of like making sure we stay consistent with the things that like cause you to be successful. And I think one of the things I've learned over the years is that every level you try to reach higher in the game, it requires so much more mental and emotional input to receive results. And, us dabbling in the Elite 16s and getting a chance to qualify for half of the tournaments we played and then medal in one was really a big learning curve, I think, for us, that like what all those little things that we do that before and after the game, the conversations we have, debriefing, strategy planning, all that stuff, like that is just, I think my biggest takeaway from this year, that hard work pays off. And it is really hard work. And it does take some like decompression, like at home sometimes, of all the mental and emotional effort it takes, not only as a team with a partner, but on the court, preparation before, the debrief after, all that stuff.
I appreciate you diving into the mental side of it, especially talking about partnerships and the relationships, because that's something that a lot of people don't think about as they're watching beach volleyball, watching these athletes play. Is you guys are eating virtually every meal together. You're flying on planes all over the world together, hotel rooms together. You're spending a lot of time. It's a marriage. Like you're spending a lot of time with one person, and it's naturally you're gonna have bumps in the road there. But like you mentioned, just kind of taking that time to really go through that training with each other, off the court, just building those relationships. I just always think it's so impressive to see these beach partnerships work and how they work when you guys talk about it.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, a part of the game that the average viewer and even people who play beach volleyball like don't totally understand, because there's a difference between just like casually playing with your friends and literally sharing beds with somebody like on a consistent basis. Sometimes they'll give you a hotel room and there's one bed and you're like, all right, guess we're snuggling tonight. And, it is a unique sort of situation. And I think one of the things that some people take for granted is that regardless of how much chemistry you have with that person, there's going to be moments where it doesn't go well. And one of the things I really respect and about Tegan and just about our partnership is that we've done a pretty good job of addressing those and like dealing with it, like talking about it. And it is, I think, a fun thing about beach volleyball that it's not just a given that you can stick two good players together and expect great results. I mean, I think we've seen that again and again in different partnerships on the men's and women's side throughout the years that like, man, these are two of the better players in the sport. Where is the results? Like it's not that simple. I think Phil was an example, when he ended up jumping back into his partnership with Nick in the middle of an Olympic qualification. And it's like, arguably on paper is Nick the best defender he could play with? I don't know, but they sure are the best team, So it's I think it's one of the coolest parts about our sport.
Something that kind of ties into that a little bit. I mean, you when you're not competing, something that's very important to you that you're a health wellness coach, and I understand that you have your own business, right? Do you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it is one of the things that beach volleyball has led me towards. And, getting to figure out myself how to achieve this level of success. I didn't, especially not really going through the college beach system. I pretty much have been doing this on my own my entire career, figuring out how to be the best athlete I can be. I've had to put my team together myself. I've had to find coaches. I've had coaches who kind of retired, so I had to find new coaches. I had to find, mental help. I had to find physical, whatever. Like I do think like all of those pieces led me to a place where I realized that the more inputs you put into your health, like it's sort of an exponential. Not only do I feel better as a player on the court, but I'm a better sister, partner. I'm a better human. Like I feel better. My nutrition's better. I'm sleeping better, So I think that when I started this journey as an athlete, even like back in college or high school, my idea of what was my baseline day, like if my baseline of like, here's my normal day, I feel good, but not bad, that today is like horrible. Like if I felt like I felt all the time in college would be a horrible day that I have now because I'm just so much more aware of like the way things impact my day in all manners, like holistically as health. So getting into the coaching side was really just me feeling very passionate about the fact that like if I had had someone like me to help me when I was in college, I would have been a better athlete sooner. And I love giving back in that way. I love sharing with people and helping them understand how much control they do have over all the aspects of their life. So it's something that's really complementary to playing, and also something I'm very passionate about.
Are you working with athletes? Are you working with junior athletes, adults? I guess what's
It's a mixed bag of, people who play for fun, who are adults who still, aren't necessarily competing competitively, but still consider themselves athletes, to, seniors who are in high school or college and maybe aren't getting the support that they need there, even up to people who are very vaguely involved with sports and more of like, just weight loss and general health goals. So it's a pretty mixed bag, which is fun. It keeps me learning too, like the more different people that I work with, the more I learn about them and me and life. So, it's been an incredibly rewarding part of my career.
So with that, like mixed, I guess, target audience or the mixed bag of individuals that you're coaching, do you find a lot more overlap in certain situations than either you expected or just overall?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's general themes that hold people back. I think one of the most common things when people talk about like their health in general is like, I know what to do, but I don't do it. Like I know I shouldn't be scrolling on my phone on TikTok before bed and I'm getting shitty sleep. Yeah. I know that I should probably be eating more vegetables or stuff like that. The nitty gritty of like being an athlete, there's a little bit more educational component that goes into that, like when should I take a creatine supplement? Okay, that's a different situation. But in terms of like across the board, like a big overlap in everyone that I work with is like, underestimating the impact of different things on your life. A lot of times that it's, maybe an environmental issue, or maybe it's a social issue. Maybe you're the only person in your community who's even remotely interested in eating healthy. So the peer pressure makes it really difficult to maintain the way you want to live. Like those things are across the board. Like it's like these patterns outside of what you would normally think as health and wellness coaching. Like I feel like we do end up getting into sort of talking about relationships and dynamics and social stuff because it impacts your behavior and your decision making. But for sure with the athlete crew, this just kind of like all or nothing perfectionist mindset is probably pretty common, because I think to succeed in sports at a certain point, you do sort of need that like innate desire to try to make it exactly the best possible situation. However, even in sports, I do think that's sort of gets you only so far. For example, I've played flawless technical volleyball. Like I've had matches where I'm like, I'm in the best shape ever. I passed and set perfect. I made 1 or 2 errors and I still lost. So I think it's like a moment of that mindset, like kind of unraveling the ways in which it does and does not serve you, and the situations in which it does and does not serve you. And typically it also bleeds off the court. Some people will find themselves very all or nothing about their diet. They'll be amazing for a couple weeks and then they'll be horrible for a couple weeks. So kind of finding that middle ground of maybe a healthier idea of like what is wellness applies across the boards, everyone in every situation for sure.
You kind of touched on this already, and I think you probably just answered it right there. But for a junior athlete, and you mentioned you would have benefited from having a health wellness coach as a junior athlete. But for any junior athletes listening, or parents, or volleyball coaches listening, why should they kind of look into finding a health wellness coach, for themselves or for their team?
Yeah, I think people underestimate having like a third party trained perspective. And I think beach volleyball is an interesting industry. So I'll use my husband as an example. He taught himself how to play, basically. He was a baseball player. And then once he finished college, he started just picking it up with friends, going to the beach, started playing. Never really had any formal training.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
My Siri wanted to be part.
All good.
He so he's good, and he taught himself. However, the difference between spending 10 years teaching yourself the beach volleyball game and hiring a coach and getting into it for like 1 or 2 years, exponential difference in the timeline that it takes to get there. So I'm a really, really big proponent. And I do think actually this applies very strongly to professional beach volleyball as well. I do think professional beach volleyball athletes underestimate how good coaching can improve your game very quickly. A lot of us have come so far on our own that it's just sort of like, yeah, I'll practice with the coach maybe once or twice a week, but the rest of the week I got it. I think there's a very big difference in players who have very consistent high level coaching and players who don't. And I think you see it in the progression of where they go with their careers. So I think the same applies, for health coaching. If you're wanting to improve behaviors, health, mindset, whatever, hiring a coach can go a long way. I mean, it's I think as simple as that, as like a sports analogy.
What are some of those factors? So you talk about when you were in college going through or having a certain kind of day and not really understanding how, data is for you currently now. What are some of those factors that kind of happen or, traits that are occurring that, someone may not be aware of that can be identified to seeking out a health coach?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's quite a lot of competing ones, like different levels, different factors. I mean, one of the first ones that comes to mind is I was not eating enough in college. That's for sure. And I think this applies to a lot of female athletes. especially beach volleyball. It's pretty hard to be competing with minimal clothing on and feel comfortable with your body. And where I am now, at the healthiest, strongest, most fit I've ever been in my entire life, I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was in college. And if you would have told me in college that your best game weight is where I'm at now, I would have like cried or something, thinking about what was like the end of the world. So I think that's a big factor. I do think also just having more perspective, I think mentally, of like the long run. I think it can be really easy, especially for collegiate players. And I coached a lot of indoor clubs, so I've been to all of the tournaments that you helped put on, Clarence. And I think it can be really, really hard for players to get a long-term idea of what their career can look like. And I think when you start thinking about your career in a 5 to 10 year like journey, then the immediate problems that are happening this year become almost null. Like I could use this year as an example. Like me and Tegan, our very first FIVB of the season, we lost in the qualifier of a challenge event, and we ended up medaling in the Elite 16 then, one of our last events of the season. So I think that if you just are too narrow in your idea, like if I had just thrown my hands up in the middle of the season, then like this partnership sucks, we're not going well, versus thinking, hey, we have 12 months to get this right. Like in the next 12 months, what do we need to do in these next couple tournaments to inch towards where we want to go? That I think would have changed my happiness even in college, just thinking about what my, like the day to day, am I playing? Am I not playing? All that good stuff. That I think, especially in beach, because you can play the sport for so long, can be really, really, really helpful short and long term.
We're right at our time right here, but I want to, before we let you go, I want to get to know you a little bit more too. When you're not competing, when you're not running your business, and coaching, what are you doing?
A lot of time where I'm not doing now.
Maybe, probably.
Mostly when you play, we played 10 international tournaments this year, not including the AVPs we went to. So, but no, I love spending time at home in Florida. There's so many things to do outside. Like we go paddle boarding, we go to the beach. My husband and I do some real estate stuff. So we're always kind of looking at houses that we could flip and doing design stuff, which keeps me very busy, probably too busy. And
But how you have time? That's crazy. I know. That's awesome.
That's a great question. No, it's good. I think that it's a nice balance between, getting some nesting kind of homebody stuff when I'm home, and then getting to full send and play one of the coolest sports, going to the coolest places in the world. So yeah, it's good.
I love that. I can just see the passion and energy you have, not only for volleyball, but everything you do, including real estate, now that we just learned. But thank you so much, Kim, for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. I guess if people want to learn more about you or follow you, where can they find you on social media? Where can they learn about your business too?
Yeah, I'm super active on my Instagram, and the link to my business is there. So that's pretty much the easiest place to go. It's just my full name, Kim Hildreth, on Instagram. You'll find me posting pictures of our travels, probably occasionally posting pictures of my cats, and then sometimes of my house and the redesign stuff that we're doing. So yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Clarence is like Insta follow for the cat tata.
It's probably my cat. My cat likes to jump on my table here.
Yeah, we haven't seen BK.
Yeah. It's probably asleep somewhere. So yeah.
Well, Kim, thank you so much again. And for our listeners, again, the Beach Pro Tour Futures event is going on in Pompano Beach, Florida, December 5th through the 8th. And also, we didn't talk about it, but the beach or the Pompano Beach Festival is also going on at the same time. And we have a Beach Tour Juniors event going on too. So a lot of great stuff like we've talked about there, a lot of great volleyball. So go check it out if you're in the area or just looking to do a little vacation too. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim, and look forward to talking to you more down the road.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I really, really, really appreciate how deep of a dive Kim took into health wellness and, the realization and the reality of that. I mean, there's so many factors that, need to be taken into consideration at, different ages, different levels of volleyball, different levels of life. I know there's a lot of that. I'm starting to even just dive into, not even only with health performance and stuff, but it's all health wellness, but it's also mental, training too with, all the teenage athletes that, we come across on the volleyball level as well too. So I just always appreciate a good, health performance talk and health wellness because it's very, very much needed in the game nowadays.
Yeah, I totally agree, Clarence. And I feel like you always, you hear new things still, like it's a space that has a lot of voices. And yet at the same time, there are new things that you're hearing. So for example, I thought one of the things that Kim said that I didn't even think about was how she was talking about how she found like the ideal playing weight, and how I think it was a few years ago, she would have been like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh yeah, maybe it's different for everybody. And you have to do a little trial and error of what works for you. And I thought that kind of whole aspect of it was, crazy. And then just what she was talking, crazy in a good way. Like it was cool to hear about that because I'd never heard that before, but also crazy just how involved she is with so many different things.
Yes.
And then also being a professional beach volleyball player, I couldn't even imagine how much attention to detail it all takes. And it's a huge credit to her.
I know. Attention to detail on our spectrum of what we have to do with USA Volleyball, personal stuff there. But, she's blowing all that out of the water. And I'm super excited that she's going to have a home crowd right there in Florida for the event too. So again, like I said before, Sevrin, you're going to have to vlog it all and, and track with your eyes. I'll comment on everything too. But what a really amazing interview from Kim too. I really appreciate her taking the time to sit down and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing her compete over there, and getting to have kind of a tournament in your own backyard is going to be really cool. So I hope that she's got a lot of support out there, as do all of our athletes in Florida. So yeah, huge thank you to Kim Hildreth for joining us. And as we continue to look forward to the Beach Pro Tour Futures event in Pompano Beach, we also sat down with Tim Brewster, who's going to be competing on the men's side, chat all things Florida, but also to talk about his career a little bit. And now here's Tim.
I know we usually kind of lead conversations. We're starting with the beach tour happening here too, but let's take a couple steps back to this is a question we always ask our first guests on the pod. How are you first introduced to the game of volleyball?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. So I was introduced to volleyball. I think the first time I ever really saw volleyball was watching the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Misty and Carrie. And I saw that and I took an interest. And I was like, that seems like an awesome sport. My parents did not play volleyball. They'd played for fun. They went to school in Santa Barbara, so they'd been around the beach world. So we put up like a little net in my backyard and we played a little bit, but I lost interest after like 6 months, as 8-year-olds do. But then come to the 2012 Olympics, my parents and I actually went to London to see the Olympics, and the only tickets that we could get were for beach volleyball. And just by chance, we got to see Misty and Carrie play, and we got to see Rosie and Jake Gibb play. And after that, I was in. I loved the sport, and I, like a week later, when I got home, joined a beach camp, the St. John Smith beach camps in LA, and the rest is history. Fell in love with it instantly.
Nice. So there's no indoor there. It's strictly beach from start to now, right?
Yeah, I took a bit of a different path than most guys take with volleyball in the States. I never played indoor. I played 3 seasons of indoor in high school. Never did club, but learned everything about volleyball on the beach before ever stepping on the indoor court.
Gotcha.
Have you gotten to meet like Misty or Carrie or Jake and sort of tell them that they're your inspiration, or were your inspiration at one point?
I've met them over the years briefly. I don't know any of them super well. I've played against Jake a couple times before he retired, but no, I never really got to have that conversation with them. But that would be cool one day, definitely.
We gotta make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So I really like this approach because it's like I think you're one of the ones who didn't really have much of an indoor track. It's kind of always been specific to beach, or we've got a ton of stories of how people were first introduced to the game. So like, since you were like strictly been on the sand, what was the hardest aspect of beach volleyball that it was to pick up for you?
Yeah, one of the hardest things just about doing the whole beach volleyball route before the indoor route for me was that no other guys my age were really playing. And so, and this was kind of just when the NCAA was picking up on the women's side. And so the club I joined was just girls. I mean, I was 13, 14. And so at that point, you're still using a woman's height net. So it wasn't really a problem. But that was one of the hardest things about getting into the sport was I couldn't find partners to play tournaments because I didn't have those indoor connections and I was just playing with girls on the beach. And so that was a bit of a challenge for me. But in terms of pure skills that were hard to learn, I think just offensively finding your footing in the sand can be an absolute nightmare, especially when you don't have the background of an indoor approach and you're learning how to approach to hit a volleyball, but in sand rather than on a stable surface. I think that was what took me the longest to get down. And I think it's still a struggle today. I think if you ask any beach volleyball player, one of the hardest skills is staying behind the ball, approaching with the wind and the sand. It can be really tough.
Tim, I'm going to steer us back to the Futures event in Florida. I mean, just how cool is it, first off, that we're having this on U.S. soil, but also how personally psyched are you to be able to compete in this kind of thing?
I'm super excited. I've been waiting for years for us to have a beach pro tournament in the U.S. And so when it showed up on the calendar, I think we were all super surprised. None of us knew it was happening. And so when we saw it popped up, we were all super excited. And I've been playing World Tour events now for probably 5-6 years, from the youth level to the adult level. And to finally get the chance to compete on home soil and get some friends and family out there is going to be pretty epic. And it's always fun to get to compete internationally against good international teams. And then to be able to do it at home is even better.
So you mentioned friends and family a little bit too. Was there anything else specific that you're like most looking forward to about the event?
I mean, I'm also super excited that the Florida region of USA Volleyball is hosting. I'm not from Florida. I'm from LA, but I have gotten to play a number of tournaments over the years hosted by the Florida region, and they always do such a great job. And so I'm super excited for one that they're the ones hosting, along with USA Volleyball. The two in conjunction, I think, is going to be awesome. And I think just the chance to compete for a World Tour medal on home soil is just going to be awesome. There's a lot of American teams in the field, and so that'll be fun to compete with our fellow Americans for a medal. And there's some really solid international teams coming out as well. So all in all, I'm just super stoked for the event.
You mentioned family's going to be there. We got the whole Brewster squad going, or is it only select few? Do you have plans that you've got to commit to outside of the being on the court? What are we talking about here?
No, I think my parents, will probably make the trip out there. They're not going to miss the chance for an international tournament to happen in the States. And I've got just some friends out in Florida as well that are gonna come down. And then the whole Florida volleyball community is awesome. I've played so many tournaments there over the years, so it'll be great to see some familiar faces as well.
Yeah, I think the turnout should be amazing. There's so many conjoining Florida events happening on around that same time too. So I'm jealous that both of you will be there, and I'll be tuning in on the website and online too. But kind of staying on the same track here, you're partnering up with Logan Weber. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Have you guys played together before?
We have. So Logan and I have been really good friends for years and years, and we've never been a team. We've never been in a partnership together, but whenever one of us has needed a partner here or there, we've always kind of filled in for each other. And we played this year actually in Stade, the Elite 16, and qualified there, and then played in Vienna as well. And so we played 2 tournaments together this year. Those were the only 2 when his partner couldn't play. And so I'm kind of filling in for this one as well. But it's always such a blast to play with Logan. He's one of my really good friends, and we do play really well together. So I'm super excited. Any chance that I get to play with him, I know it's going to be a blast.
The jerseys you guys had for Stade were so sick. I think they were one of the coolest jerseys I've seen. I mean, I hope that, I don't know if you've got something planned for Florida. It'll be kind of similar, but those ones are always so cool. But you and Logan especially had the best ones, I thought.
Yeah, the Stade jerseys were pretty awesome. Everything about that tournament is awesome. It's hard to beat as a tournament. It's so cool. But yeah, those jerseys were pretty cool. Definitely my favorites. I made sure to hold on to all of them.
As you've noticed with my new podcast setup, I have motion detected lights in here, which clearly I haven't been moving enough. So I'm going to let Clarence ask the next question while I keep these lights back on.
That's hilarious too. I mean, it's really cool to hear that you and Logan like have known each other for so long too. But what about his game do you like the most, and like how does it complement yours?
Yeah, Logan, yeah, I think, is definitely one of the top 3 blockers in the country from a pure blocking standpoint. His ability to read and to take space and to just like put hitters in an absolute phone booth is pretty awesome. And so to play, but he makes it easy to play defense behind him because he just touches so many balls. He's so big up at the net. And so I think that complements my game well as a smaller defender, to have a big blocker who can do his job up at the net is awesome. And Logan is just such a positive guy as well. He brings the energy, and it's just fun to play with him.
I would also like to shout out that for people who probably don't get to see this a lot, everybody works super hard at the level that you're at, and everybody, puts in a bunch of time and effort in a bunch of different areas. But you and Logan specifically, I feel like, are always in the gym. You guys are always working out. You're always putting in some extra effort, some extra work. So I'm personally excited to see what I feel like are 2 of the hardest working people always in the gym are partnering together for this. I think it's going to be really cool.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, Logan is definitely a grinder. He knows how to put the hours in. That guy practices more than I think any other person on the beach. He loves the sport probably more than anybody else as well, and he is so dedicated. So I'm really excited to play with him.
Tim, especially at this point, I feel like at the end of the year, we're getting a lot of different partnerships, even when it's something like this where it offers the opportunity to do so. But you recently partnered, I think it was with Theo Brunner, who's kind of scouting out other partners after playing with Trevor. And you especially are also partnering with other partners as well as we kind of come down the stretch here at the end of 2024. What are some of the things that you're thinking about when you partner with someone, and what have you noticed about kind of your game, or what have you learned from Theo? Those are like 3 different questions all in a row.
Yeah.
Anything there?
Yeah, I think this has been a weird year for me in general because my partner of the last 2 seasons retired halfway through the year. And so I kind of got thrown into this partner shuffle in the middle of the year when a lot of teams were set. And so for me, I just kind of filled gaps when I could. Somebody needed a partner for this event. Okay, I'll fill in. Or somebody's partner got hurt. I can step in for an event. So that was kind of my last 6 months have been just jumping around, playing with a lot of different people. And so, like you said, it makes you find things that work well with other people, that other people do well, that you look for in a partner. And so for me specifically, anytime I can play with somebody who can help run a dynamic offense, kind of run some faster plays, some shoot sets to the pin, create some movement is going to be big for me. That's something that I've learned this year, having now played with probably 6 or 7 different people this year after playing with one person for the last 2.5 years is definitely different. And playing with Theo was awesome. We got to train together for about a month before the event. And fortunately, did not play my best during that event in China, but it happens. But I learned a lot from him. Theo is a volleyball encyclopedia, and I don't think people know that really looking in from the outside. He's one of the biggest thinkers I've ever played with. He's an incredible scouter and watches tons and tons of video, not just on himself or his opponents, but on the teams that are playing the best in the world and trying to figure out what they do better than everyone else. And so I got a lot of time to watch video with Theo and just learn the way he thinks about the game and what he sees as the future of the game. And we kind of got to implement a few things from the Swedish offense that we saw, the Swedish team of Alman Helvig, who have been best team in the world for the last couple of years. And that was really fun to kind of just mess around with, knowing that, I'm just playing this one event with Theo. Let's try some new things. Let's have some fun and see what we can come up with. And so being able to learn that from Theo, pick some things from a top team in the world and see what we can implement was really cool. And I think also with Theo, he has one of the best arm swings on the beach, which I think also people don't totally see because he's so big. People just assume he's using his height, but his arm swing is incredible. And he's done a lot of work over the years to fix his arm swing. And so he gave me some really cool pointers and tips and tricks that going into the off season, I'm definitely gonna work on. So that was like super fun to play with Theo and a great experience. And he's a great guy. So had a lot.
That's cool. Yeah. Sounds like there's like a lot being taken away. Like, and you talk about your partnership situation, how you were, having to figure those out throughout the season too. But, you got the goods and the gains from that one and kind of know what works and what didn't work too. And then, you mentioned everything with Theo there too. Do you have any like targeted goals from all that you're going to try to take into this competition in Pompano Beach?
Yeah, I think, it's always hard to implement new things into your game, especially at the end of the season. But with all of that said, there's definitely a few things I'm hoping to carry into Pompano and at least, try out before I go into an off season where I can really, really work on them. More of just kind of the Swedish offense is really fun to run, even if it's not jump setting per se. Spreading the ball across the net and creating space and making the blockers have to chase you a bit is just really, really fun to do for one, but also super brings a lot of success and it lets you kill the ball a lot easier. So just really messing with that, I think, going into Pompano and seeing how I can stretch the limits of that and where I need to find time and places to improve it in the off season.
I feel like there's 7 different follow-ups I want to ask on that aren't even things we planned to ask about. I mean, like, just to sneak one in here really quickly, like,
yeah,
is the Swedish offense something that you've noticed a lot of other teams are trying to implement because of the success that they've had? And then the follow-up to that is that something that you're looking for in future partners, whether you stay with Theo for more tournaments, whether you look for other partners, like someone who can implement that offense that complements your game the best?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily if it's the best thing for me yet or how it is, but I definitely know that it's the trend and everyone on the World Tour is doing it, whether it's jump setting or just running the ball a little faster to the pins, a little lob, especially in transition after people getting digs, there's a lot more movement than there used to be. Like even 3-4 years ago, someone get a dig, you just run an up and down set. And now we're running a push back, we're running a lob to the pin. People are doing a lot more now, and it's a lot harder to play against. And I think it's something I absolutely want to do going forward. And I think the interesting thing about the Swedish offense is I really do think that almost anybody can execute it. I don't think that there's anybody, at a high level who can't run that system. And so I think, yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to mess around with whoever I end up playing next year. I have absolutely no idea who that will be or what that looks like, but for sure, running, I think it's where the game's going, and it's where, as players, we all have to be willing to go. I don't think you can sit back and not just at least try a few things from what they're doing.
Sevrin, I'm gonna let you keep going, and then you got a couple of those other follow-ups too. So
no, I'm gonna save some of them, but Tim, next time you're in the gym, I want a full breakdown of the Swedish offense and what goes on with it. So
absolutely.
But I mean, I know we've kind of touched a little bit on the future of your career, and I'm not going to pressure you to tell me who you're thinking about partnering with. That's again another thing I'm going to grill you on when you're back in the gym. But if we can do a little bit of a small retrospective on your career, I mean, you continue to play the Norseca Tour at a very high level, the Beach Pro Tour that we mentioned. A lot of success on the Norseca Tour with Kyle. What keeps you motivated to keep playing in these events? And I know, especially for Beach too, sometimes it's tough when you go all the way out and you've got to compete in the qualifying stage. And obviously it's a lot, but for you especially, what keeps you motivated to keep playing at this level?
Yeah, I mean, my goals in the sport have not let me, I've not yet achieved them. And I definitely am super gung-ho to achieve the things that I want to achieve. You know, it's always been my dream to make an Olympics one day. And I'm 24, and I know that I'm still on the younger end or the younger side of players who have qualified for the Olympics from the US, especially on the men's side. So I know that I have a lot of work and time to still put in to make it to that point. But that's the main thing that drives me every day to keep playing these tournaments, is I know that I just need the experience and the time under my belt in order to achieve that goal. But there's also just something so fun about playing international events, whether it's getting to know players from other countries or getting to see new areas of the world. There is just something really special about it that keeps you coming back. It's almost addicting, honestly. Norsecas, I have played about 1 million Norsecas, and for anybody who doesn't know kind of how Norsecas work, it's it's a little different than probably any other tournament you'll have ever played. They're low budget and they tend to be in some very interesting parts of the world. And so they're always full of adversity. You're in a hotel that might not be the nicest, or there's a lot of food that you can't eat, or you get food poisoning, or there's a lot of rocks on the court, things like that. It's just Norseicas are crazy, but there's so much adversity that it makes it fun. And so I've learned over the years that if you just got to embrace the adversity of those events and just kind of go with the flow, and it's never easy to compete at your best in crazy conditions, but I think there's a lot of learning lessons to be had there, and it teaches you to grind. And then when you get on the world tour, some events are great and some events are like a Norseica. And so it helps to have that Norseica background to play these bigger events, because you just never know what's going to be thrown at you. And there's just something really fun about that at the end of the day, of being able to like survive and try and be your best when the situation's not. And so I love playing on the world tour. I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. So yeah, I think just what motivates me the most is my goals in volleyball of wanting to do the Olympics, but also wanting to make a world championship here in the future, be able to compete for USA at that stage. And so yeah, so all that makes playing on the world tour and playing international events pretty fun.
So I mean, the 24 season's almost, at its tail end right now. What are you most proud of? I mean, you talked about a lot of variables that have been thrown at you this season, and a lot of good things as well, and some adjustments too. What are some things that you're just absolutely most proud of?
Yeah, I think with this was definitely the most chaotic season I've had, and so I think I found a way to, even though I wasn't in a stable partnership or able to kind of develop a partnership and maybe have like long-term success this season, I felt like individually I was playing the best volleyball that I've ever played at moments, especially kind of in the middle of the year when Stad was a great example of going and qualifying and then giving a battle against some of the best teams in the world. And so that was my favorite tournament of the year for sure. It's hard to beat. But yeah, just I think for me, finding a way to play some of my best volleyball I've played, while not necessarily being in like a comfortable position all year long, is probably what I'd say I'm the most proud of from this year.
Tim, I know that like an off season is 2 months, if that, but in an off season, what in the air quotes off season, what are you looking forward to? What is an off season, if there is one for you, look like? And yeah, anything you can expand on with that.
Yeah, off season for me always starts with finals for school. And so as soon as I'm done playing, I mean, I will be in the middle of finals for Pompano, but when I get home from Pompano, then off season will officially be a go, and I will take my last final, and then I'll probably take anywhere from 3 weeks to 4 weeks out of the sand to reset. I'll still be lifting and getting on my lifting program and getting stronger in that time. But the volleyball, mentally you need the break, and physically you need the break. Let all the little micro injuries you've had from the year heal. So I'll take 4 weeks off the sand. I have some fun trips early, like kind of mid-December planned during that time. Go to Yosemite, get some hiking in. I'll take off to Ireland with my family for a little bit as well. And so just get in some family time, getting some relaxation time when I have about 3 weeks of the year where there's no volleyball to be played and no school to be done. And so for me, it's just a big mental reset time. And then come the new year, second week of January, I'll be back out in the sand with, if I have a partner at that point, with whoever that is. If not, then I'll just be kind of grinding on my own until I lock something in. But yeah, the off season is always such a great time to just decompress, get stronger for one. It's off season is never, all right, let me completely check out. Because if you completely check out, it's such a struggle to get back to where you want to be. And especially with how short off seasons are these days. I think the first World Tour event is scheduled for, I think it's the end of February, possibly. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure, but I think generally it'll be around then. So that's not a ton of time to take a break and then get back at it. So working out a ton in the off season while letting the volleyball kind of relax and take a break from the sand at least.
Do you have any hobbies outside of, the travel that you have planned? And I know once finals are done too, anything that you're going to be doing to really help with that break?
Yeah, I'm big on cooking and baking. It's like my favorite thing in the world. I love it so much. And if I could do it every day, I would. But between volley and school, there's not a ton of time to do it. But especially around the holidays, when I get done with school and volley, I definitely will be doing some cooking and some baking with my fam. And yeah, it's
Nice.
my favorite. Yeah.
So Sarah and I, we were just talking about our favorite Thanksgiving dishes and all that stuff too. So right around the holiday season, do you have a favorite dish you like to cook or eat or anything in between?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, we need your thoughts on cranberry sauce. How essential is that? So
Yep, I'm not a big cranberry sauce guy. Also, I am say that I know what they're doing.
I'm sorry. I will say Thanksgiving food, not my favorite. I like Thanksgiving food, not my favorite. Christmas time, I think that's where the food wins. But yeah, I mean, my favorite thing to bake for the holidays is, I love this like flourless chocolate cake that I make. It's kind of like my favorite thing to make. Also some brown butter chocolate chip cookies, some stuff like that. So it's off season's the time to put on a few pounds and eat some food you might not normally eat during the season. And so I'm looking forward to that.
you might eat a little care package when you order together.
Dude, I know, honestly.
Submitted the
Please. Oh, it'll be gone in a second there. They put it on the kitchen table. It's gone. It's gone. But no, in all seriousness, I think it's great that you have so many good things planned for your off season and taking a break. I feel like just talking anecdotally to a lot of people, I feel like a lot of the athletes are ready to kind of have a rest and a reset. Like it was a kind of a tough year for a lot of people. Challenging, not necessarily tough in a bad way, but just like it was a long one and everybody needs a good break.
Yeah, long season for sure. I mean, I think I started playing this year like first week of March maybe, and going through first week of December. So with not any breaks in the middle, pretty consistent tournaments and training. And so yeah, it just takes a toll on the body and the mind. As fun as it is and as great as it is, it's still a job for a lot of us at the end of the day. And so to be able to get that little bit of a reset is huge. It means everything.
Especially for you too. I mean, I think now everybody, if they listen to this podcast, you're going to know if you're like looking at your textbook in between sets or at timeouts or something like that, they'll understand too. I mean, having to run through this whole thing with finals looming, I cannot imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most fun and it's not ideal, but I've been doing it for about 3 years now. So I've got it dialed. I know I can, it's definitely not fun. And I would tell people to do it because I think it's 100% doable, but you definitely got to be ready to grind because it's a grind for sure to do both at the same time. But definitely wouldn't have it any other way.
What do you major in?
So I'm actually in law school right now.
Oh, law school.
So I'm lucky that I found an evening program that's 4 years instead of 3, and so it lets me travel and miss class because it's designed for people with jobs and who are working and with families. And so I'm super grateful that I found this program at LMU in LA. So if anyone's interested who's listening and going to law school while also playing, this is definitely the program for you. But yeah, so it's a grind. School's tough. Law school is hard, but I do really enjoy it. And I think there's something about being in school while also playing volleyball that lets you check out from volleyball and put your focus into another area that's honestly healthy. Because when you spend all day thinking about volleyball, it can be tough. As much as we all love the sport, when you're competing at a high level, to think about volleyball constantly is draining. And so to be able to switch the brain over for a little bit every day to think about something else and to put a different side of the brain to use has been awesome.
Well, Tim, I think we're coming to the end of our time here, but so awesome to talk to you about a wide breadth of things, but especially with Florida and getting to see you compete in the U.S. is going to be fantastic. And I know we're all looking forward to that whole competition and then seeing you out there with Logan.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be awesome. I'm super glad that USA is hosting a tournament in the States and excited to get out there and play.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a social media? Where can everyone follow you on a journey in Florida, on your vacations, law school, everything in between?
Yeah. You can follow me at Tim Brewster on Instagram. That's pretty much where where I post everything. So if you want to follow along, that's where to find me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Tim. Thanks for your time. And yeah, we'll see you soon out there.
Thank you both so much. That was awesome.
Thank you. And there's a lot of food talk on this episode, talking about desserts and Thanksgiving dishes and all that good stuff. But man, if you don't get some of that, some of those goods that he's going to be baking there too, I'm going to be upset for you. But I mean, that alone, I really love where his headspace is with such a wild season that he's had. Been so cool, calm, and collective, able to take the good and be efficient from every situation that he's been thrown into, and use it as a motivating factor. He has his goals that he still, is looking forward to, achieving going into this next 25 season, including up to 24 season as well too. But such a well-rounded athlete and really, really, really a great personality to just be around. You can feel that like from the energy from this interview alone.
Yeah, man. Tim's a grinder. He puts in a lot of good work. A lot of work that I feel like a lot of people don't see. He, competes at those NORCEGA playoffs, even to just get into a lot of the NORCEGA events that he competes in. So my lights go off again. But no, I think it's not surprising that he keeps such a good mentality and such a good headspace about everything. I mean, it's tough to, be sort of just with where he just ends up lining up with a lot of the events that he competes in. It's a lot of that. You got to push through the qualification phase, or you got to jump in with a partner late, as you mentioned with, some of the stuff that he does with Logan. And so to me, it's not surprising, but it's really cool to just hear how he's able to sort of reset with that mindset. And I didn't even know he was doing school too. So it's a whole bunch of different things. And I think it speaks to his personal resilience, and just the way that he's able to keep going, I think is awesome. And he's also putting in some great results. So really hoping that he gets a consistent partner soon, and looking forward to seeing Tim kind of get into a groove even more than he already is.
Yeah, I mean, law school at LMU at that, man, that's no joke right there. That's an amazing program overall. So hats off and kudos to you. But I mean, thank you again so much for just taking the time and, just really showing us your personality, really showing us, that other side of, what it's like in, every day of your life, or even just a little fraction of it throughout the season too. But, Tim and Kim, both really amazing interviews, both really amazing individuals who have a lot going on, very, 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 very successful all around futures.
All right. Now for our upcoming events, of course, the USA Volleyball Beach Tour in Pompano Beach, the National Qualifier, December 7th through 8th in Pompano Beach. Again, that's part of that whole event, and so excited for that Beach National Qualifier as well. Those are always fantastic. So Clarence, lots of stuff to look forward to in Florida. I'm excited. I'm going to be going, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm jealous, man. What a great time to go. It just snowed here in Colorado, so I'm also jealous of that as well too. But man, it's such a jam-packed event, and if I had the time and I wasn't going to be in Chicago coaching my boys, I would love to also just look at flights to go there and support there too. But make sure you're recording everything. I want to vlog in addition to all your work responsibilities, so we can live this you there too. But that's a really great event to be going to.
I'm going to hold you to that. I want to see your comments under everything. I want reactions to all the stories. I want comments under everything. Site virtual. Yeah, exactly. But Chicago's going to be great too. Maybe not necessarily in the dead of winter, but I love it over there as well.
Thanks for the reminder there.
You'll be all right, buddy. You're going to get through it. Again, when you come back home, it's going to be nice, 75. You're going to be all right.
We'll see. Colorado's dipping too, so we'll be as cold as Chicago, but yeah, we will see. Let's move on to some qualifier indoor event dates and registration things that we should know here. Mountain Classic Boys National Qualifier registration is currently open. It closes very, very soon. This event happens December 13th through the 15th, and this is the last week to register. So get your teams in. We want to see you at the Colorado Convention Center. Salt Lake City 18 Showdown registration is also currently open. That event happens January 24th through the 26th of 2025. And we also have the Sunshine Classic Qualifier Weekend 1 registration now open. That event happens on February 22nd through the 24th. And also Sunshine Weekend 2 registration is open, happening February 28th and going through March 2nd. I will be there for both weekends of that. Volleyball over 160 courts there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I say that very, very, very stressfully. The 2025 Salt Lake City Showdown Girls Qualifier Weekend 1 registration is also open, happening April 5th through the 7th. And Salt Lake City Showdown Weekend 2 registration is still open as well, happening April 11th through the 13th. Won't quite have 160 course, with 83 is the most course that we have ever had. Well, that should be a very, very, very exciting event there too. So register your teams, email events@usav.org if you have any questions, comments, or concerns there. And now, throwing it back over to Sevrin for the pro side of things.
Yeah, on the pro side of things, we're all gas, no brakes, still on the beach side. So we've got the Beach Pro Tour Challenge Philippines. That's November 28th through December 1st. So Clarence, I don't know if we can send like a care package of all our Thanksgiving foods, our favorite foods, over to our athletes competing over there. But
They'd love
yeah, still going on there. And then the big one, the Pro Tour Finals in Doha, Qatar. That's December 4th through 7th. Got Therese Cannon, Megan Kraft, and TKN competing there. So that's going to be awesome. A great capper to the year, a great year in the Beach Pro circuit. And then also we've got Futures Pompano Beach. We're going to keep saying it because you should still go, but December 5th through 8th, it's just, yeah, all of the looking forward to that is going to be right there. And it's going to be so cool. So that's December 5th through 8th again, Pompano Beach, Florida. Then World Paravolley Beach Paravolley Training Camps, December 6th through 8th, also in Pompano Beach, Florida. And, of course, the Beach Pro Tour Futures Brazil, December 5th through 8th. So everything kind of happening all in that first week of December. And finally, during that entire stretch, it's still December 5th through 9th. One more beach pro event is going to be Norseca, Costa Rica. Once again, that's happening December 5th through 9th as well. If you need to keep up with all of these events, you know what to do. Go check out our calendar on our website for more details. Stay up to date with everything. Maybe even add it to your own calendar. However you stay organized, we'll be there to help you.
That was great. Well, great delivery there. Boom. Right to the point. I'm still thinking about Thanksgiving food, but that's a good idea. We're just sending that stuff over to our...
Yeah, it's just what I do, Clarence. I distract you with that so that you think that I got to the point when actually we're jumbled. But, you know.
It's just a ramble of an episode. I guess, what can I say? I'm just kidding. But remember, listeners, you can rate, review, share this podcast with your friends, families, teammates, all of Pompano Beach, Florida as well, too, because it really helps this podcast grow and reach new listeners as we've experienced over the past 3 years. So once again, thank you all. We couldn't do it without your support, truly. And remember to check out our video episodes on our website and YouTube, and also possibly Spotify. Oh, yes. If there is an athlete or a topic you want to learn more about, or maybe you know a club that should be featured, make sure you email us at theusavshow@usav.org. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how much you're loving the show. And remember, you can also text us. So text us and say what is up and what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish. Remember, just new episodes dropping every other week on those Wednesdays. So until then, thank you all for listening to yet another episode of USA Volleyball Show podcast. We are the official podcast of USA Volleyball.
This has been the USA Volleyball Show with Clarence Hughes and Stephen Munson. Produced by Curtis Ward. Our content producer is Laura Fawcett. Our marketing lead is Bree Jaycox. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate and review. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the USA Volleyball Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.